Are you winning? Do you need help in your life or business? Could you use some inspiration, business strategies, and success principles? I'm Daniel Gomez, award-winning business coach, keynote speaker, and best-selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you create a successful life and elevate your business. Together, we will discover the keys that unlock your success and dreams. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, where we motivate you, we inspire you. And today we're going to educate you. I'll tell you what, I'm excited for this episode. We got a dear friend of mine, amazing gentleman. I had the pleasure of just spending time with him in Denver. Amazing coaches, brilliant mind. So I want to welcome to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show today, Mr. Anthony Perez. Good morning, brother. How you doing this morning?
Hey, Daniel, it is an honor to be on your show. Those were really kind words. I don't know who you were talking about, but I appreciate that. So
That's
good
you,
morning
man.
to you.
Hey, you're the rock star, brother. Woo. No, honestly, you know what? I was excited for our conversation for our episode today. And I know the beautiful person you are, Anthony. Do me a favor, introduce yourself to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, my name's Anthony Perez, a Navy veteran, entrepreneur. I'm the owner of Culture Concepts. I do business consulting, coaching, corporate trainings. I'm an author of a new book. Yay. Father, and recently humbled business person who has been built back up, and excited about the new year and new opportunities and new friendships that I've been making over the last couple months.
Man, you're a rock star in my book, Anthony. So I'm honored to have you here on the show, and I just want to have a great conversation with you, brother. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a part of the show where I say, get out your pen, get out your paper, because Anthony's going to drop some massive wisdom today. And you know what we say here on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show: what you write down, you retain over 50% of it. So I want you to definitely take notes, because we're going to have just a heart-to-heart conversation. Real great episode today. And Anthony, you know, I just love talking to you because you're real. You're authentic, you're genuine, and what I love about me and you, sometimes we have those hard conversations that a lot of men don't want to have, right? A lot of men put their feelings, their emotions aside, and they suppress them. And let me ask you this: why do you think so many men do that?
You know, I think part of it's society. I think we you know, at an early age, we just live as kids, we just do. And then somewhere along the lines, society or people in our lives tell you, you know, this is hot, this is cold, this is right, this is wrong, this is how you have to show up, this is how you know, my grandfather taught me, he was old school, right? Men don't cry, men don't show feelings. And well, you know, if you keep suppressing and pushing stuff down and you don't deal with it, it's not healthy. It's going to come out. And I can talk to you from personal experience. It it doesn't come out. It doesn't come out the way you want or when you want.
Wow. I love that, right? I think sometimes we don't realize that. So maybe you're listening to us right now and you're driving, and maybe you just had a rough last couple of days, and with the holidays upon us and just the new year coming here, maybe you were taught what Anthony just said, that men don't cry, be tough, right? But we don't realize, Anthony, that I think as men, sometimes we have the illusion that we suppress these emotions and they're just going to go away forever and we never have to deal with them. And the truth is, like you said, they show up sometimes when we don't want them to.
Right. You know, and the thing is, as guys, we're wired we have to fix things, right? We're going to be that person, the rock. We're going to get it done. The problem is, you know, doctors are the worst patients, you know? So if we don't learn how to, and I've been, you know, I shared this phrase with you earlier, you know, if you don't learn to look inward and I really identify about you, what's happening with you, why you're feeling, not that I'm happy today or it's a good day or it's a bad day, but really it's going on. But also, you know, you got to look inward. We know now that you have to look outward, find support like you, resources, whether it's counseling, a friend, what have you. you got to look inward, you got to look outward. But I'm telling you this, and I came to this place. A lot of us, and we're forgetting these days. You need to look upward, man. You need to get down on your knees and look upward and really work, work it all out. And I think that's a big part, as you said. As guys, we just like to kind of mask things. Oh, I'm just in a bad mood, and we kick the can down the street. And 6 months later, a year later, you know, we're in a really bad situation. So.
No, I love what you said. What do you mean by look upward? Do you think you think too many people? For me, my faith is a huge part of who I am, right? And I'm not talking about religion because I'm not a religious person, but my faith in God, and for me having Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. If it wasn't for God in my life and just accepting Christ as my Lord, man, I don't know where I would be in business because the truth is you get to a point where the business gets way bigger than what you ever imagined. And you're like, how am I doing this? And I think that one thing that's really helped me is knowing that in the back of my heart and my mind that I'm not at it alone. Why do you think so many men just go at it by themselves and they think, well, I'll figure it out, right? You're the coach. Why do you think so many people take on that approach? That I'll just figure it out. I don't need no help because they see it as a weakness, asking for help.
You know, I was there, right? I have a very strong faith. I had a great pastor back in the day. You found me in church 2 or 3 days a week, taking everything I learned, turning it into training for my employees, right? Just really, really, I was always good to take scripture and turn it into a great lesson that I could apply in my life, in my personal and professional life. And I had a good, strong, solid walk. And I think a lot of people have that, right? We have faith, and I don't believe it's intentional. I believe life gets in the way. We just went through a pandemic. There's a lot of people there questioning their existence, their purpose, their relationships. What am I doing? Um, you can work from home and be isolated, and there's all these opportunities, and you're doing things, and they're coming to you. And you know what? I know I got guilty of, you just find yourself out there doing, and you get away from your daily habits, whatever that is. I used to wake up and do my 8 minutes of prayer and focus, and looking back, I didn't realize how detached I got, and I was getting frustrated and things weren't working out, and instead of stopping and pausing and saying, how did I get here, what was working to help me get here in the first place, we kind of you know like push things. We like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to find a solution. I'm going to fix it. That was what it was happening with me a couple weeks ago, and you just get to a point where you don't realize, we get so focused that we're in control and we're going to make it happen for ourselves, instead of remembering that, what, we're supposed to labor with the Lord. You're supposed to use your faith. You're supposed to trust that things are going to work out. And it's
I
so easy to get
I,
off the path.
I love what
It's
you're talking.
so
I
easy.
love what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Think about this. Write this down right now on your notes. Where are you trying to force things? Where are you trying to put that square peg into that circle hole? Or where are you trying to put that circle peg into that square? It doesn't work that way. And the more you try to force things to happen, the more you try to manipulate the situation, you try to manipulate people. That's where the frustration sets in. That's where the anger sets in. That's where you get irate sometimes. And then next thing you know, you just take that negative energy, those emotions, and you transfer them to other relationships. So I want you to write that question down. Where right now am I feeling frustrated in my life? Maybe it's your business. Maybe your business isn't where you wanted to be, and you're forcing things, trying to make things happen. Like Anthony said, instead of you asking God, which do I take, a left turn or do I take a right turn? You're trying to go straight and there's no road ahead of you. You got to either turn left or right.
Right.
When as we're talking about this, Anthony, what comes to mind is for me, it was really becoming less Daniel reliant and becoming more God reliant. And it's hard to do because we're so, sometimes as men, we're independent, right? I want to be macho, I want to be bravo, like we said in the beginning. Tough men don't cry. Come on, get up, right? Stop being a sissy lala, whatever you want to call it. How do you think that affects men in business sometimes, and even women, right? Because we have this perspective, this lens that we see through. And instead of asking for help from a human being, and then even the greater help is, God help me, show me what decision to make, we try to figure it out. And then we get frustrated because we're trying to force things to happen that maybe it's not the proper time for it right now.
No, I would agree. I mean, as a corporate trainer, going into businesses, owning businesses, community leader, dealing with, I've worked with as a volunteer to a board member, as a trainer to a business owner, from a CEO to a $12 an hour employee. I've done the gamut, right? I've seen behind the curtain in businesses. And as much as I've been teaching about the importance of emotional intelligence, social intelligence to increase employee engagement and create a culture and all of that, I'm not proud to say it, and that's been 15, 20 years. We haven't scratched the scratch, man. Like, you're still walking in and seeing businesses where people are just awkward. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to be authentic. They don't embrace that vulnerability is a strength and is a good thing when used properly. And now with social media and these, like, people are just struggling to communicate in general. I walk into places and they struggle to talk about the Monday Night Football game, let alone what they're going through at home, let alone I'm stuck and I don't know how to get my department to where it needs to be, or how do I get the culture where it needs to be. And I feel like I'm not serving my people and I don't know. And it's, it's a very interesting time right now, as more and more people are embracing the importance of mental health and awareness and mindfulness. And you would think that you'll see that wave. I'm still not seeing it where it needs to be, right through the ranks.
Let me ask you this: what do you see? Because you're the culture coach, what do you see are two big roadblocks that keep an organization, a business, from having a thriving culture? What are two things you think that business owners or the leaders listening to our podcast episode today, what are two things that you see that it kind of comes up more frequently than what you think it would?
I live by a culture statement for me, is a Vince Lombardi quote, individual commitment to a group effort. That's what makes a team work, right? That's what makes an organization work. Individual commitment to group effort. I use that everywhere I speak, right? I use that as my opening to get things going. And I'll tell you two things. One, people don't embrace that and understand that that's a call to action. So to answer your question, one, people don't understand what their individual commitment is to the people that they support and serve every day. They don't understand that they, as a leader, need to continually, consistently, daily reevaluate. What are you doing right now as a leader to help your people get better, to help them succeed? What are you doing today? What are you doing tomorrow? They don't understand that it's on them, and they need to constantly be looking for ways to get better so they could support their people, whatever that individual commitment is. And it's usually a couple of things. And the one thing that I tell people when they go, well, I don't know what my individual commitment should be, I'll tell you. And it's a word that people don't like today: accountability.
Ooh.
You got to hold yourself accountable, consistently hold yourself accountable to the things that you say are important in your personal life and your professional life. You can't turn it on Monday and turn it off until Friday. It doesn't work that way. So accountability and consistency are two things that I see that are connected at the hip, that will erode an organization, will prevent an organization from creating a great culture that supports a work environment, employee engagement. You got to be consistent in holding yourself consistent and accountable to the things that you say are important for your company, for yourself, and your business. You have to be the example.
Boom, baby. There you go. I told you, Anthony Perez. What I'm thinking about, we just had our Millionaire Mind boot camp. And to that extent, one of our employees that came in, we have this massive 20-foot banner, and everybody has their assignment as we have these live boot camps. And towards the end of the boot camp, we're tearing down. It's a 2.5 day boot camp. They're tearing down. We're tearing down everything. And hey, this broke. And I'm like, well, how did it break? Well, I don't know. It just broke. Well, things just don't break, right? Like, how did it break? Well, I don't know. What the thing is, it's a $2,000 piece of equipment, right? It's not $100 piece of equipment or $200. And maybe like, okay, well, it is what it is, but it's a $2,000 piece of equipment. And I'm like, things just don't break. Like, what happened? Well, I don't know. And well, so and so helped me. I'm like, yeah, but so and so is not the leader of this piece of equipment. You're the leader. And I think I was more frustrated, Anthony, to exactly what you're saying. This employee did not take accountability for his actions, right? You're in charge
Mhm.
of this part of the event. You're in charge of this part of the boot camp. You're in charge of this thing. Everybody has their assignments, and well, I don't know, right? And the fact that he didn't take accountability, that hurt me more than anything else. And and
Right?
and maybe if this person would have said, hey, it happened, I apologize. Okay, great. But when you say, well, so and so was helping me, I'm like, yeah, but so and so doesn't do this every single event. You do it every event. And I really and help me understand. Maybe you can help me guide me through what I was going through. But we're coming back, and like literally, we tear everything down. And then I'm coming home with my wife, and I'm just like, she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, the equipment's the equipment. Whether it's $100, 1,000 or 2,000, we can fix that. But it's more the fact that they lied and said, well, I don't know, right? The accountability aspect. And that's what hurt me the most. And this is what I'm thinking for me, as a business owner, as a leader, if I can't trust this individual with a piece of equipment, how can I trust them when we grow? And then now we have 10 employees that he's going to be leading. Like, what type of leader is he going to be? And I was more hurt. At first, I was angry, but I think after my kind of the dust settled, I was just more disappointed that accountability wasn't taken, Anthony.
That's it right there, right? I tell people all the time, Daniel, regardless of what industry you're in, right? You came from car sales, right? I was in financial services, military. Doesn't matter the industry. We are all in the people business. And there are two guarantees in the people business. You ready?
Tell me.
Reward and disappointment. Reward and disappointment. And as a leader, it's our job to look at how do I minimize disappointment and how do I increase reward. The reality is this: every day we're dealing with people that we're developing, we're mentoring, we're loving on, we're coaching, whether it's just to make our life easier as a business owner. But I believe it's because we see something in somebody. It's like being a parent with your kids, right? And as a parent, how many times were we disappointed? We teach our kids how to right from wrong. We show them how to be resourceful. We show them how to show up. And you know what? As human beings, we fall short every day. And we get disappointed. And when somebody demonstrates a lack of ownership, accountability, resourcefulness, and this person's better than that because you've poured time and energy into them, and they kind of all of a sudden turn into a sixth grader, right? Like, I don't know.
I
It
love the
hurts, man. You start questioning yourself as a leader. You're disappointed.
I love that. All of a sudden, so that's a good point you write down right there, ladies and gentlemen. Where in your life are you turning into that sixth grader? I like the way you said that. I don't know. Like, hey, I'm like, right. Well, who broke the dishes? Who, like, how did that? I don't know. Well, how did the scratch get on the car? I don't know. I just happened to get up in the middle of the night and take it for a joyride, and I have amnesia all of a sudden. But
Hey,
that pisses me off, and it upsets me. But
it should, right?
write this down, ladies and gentlemen. Where in your personal life or in your business are you turning into that sixth grader and you're saying, I don't know, because you don't want to take responsibility for what you're overseeing, or you don't want to take responsibility for the results? Good or bad, the results show up. And if you're responsible for something, you need to be held accountable. And it's hard. It's not an easy thing, because sometimes, man, I mean, I look at myself when I was a younger leader. There was some things I did. We made a lot of money in the automotive industry. We had a lot of fun. We helped a lot of customers, but there's a lot of things I could have done better because I didn't take responsibility in certain areas. And this is a thing what comes to mind right now as we're talking about this, when we're talking about just growing a business and developing a better culture, sometimes I think the illusion is this, Anthony, is in our minds as the business owner or the leader of that department or organization is, well, I'm taking accountability for XYZ. Yeah. But we're not taking accountability for 1, 2, 3. And we try to justify the fact because we're taking accountability for XYZ that it's okay not to take accountability for 1, 2, 3. And I think that's a lot of times that I went through myself, that no, you got to take accountability 100%, 360 degrees all the way around of what you're overseeing. And I think speaking from my own experience, that's something that I needed to work on, and I'm still working on that every day.
Well,
That makes sense.
you know what? Absolutely. I mean, you know what I went through a couple weeks ago. I'm the culture coach. I'm supposed to be teaching people how to be aware, how to self-manage their emotions, and understand what's happening, and know when to display and delay, and all that stuff. And yet, man, at the end of the day, we're human, right? We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna, my book is Professional Durability, Withstanding the Storm of Change. You know what? I lived in Florida. It's not there is a hurricane season. It's not up for question. Like, oh, I wonder if we're going to have a storm. It's going to happen. The question is, where is it going to hit? How bad is it? Are you prepared? And are you going to get through it? And what did you learn from it? That's our life, right? Every day there's different storms. It could be a little rain shower, or it could be a monsoon, and if you're not equipped to know how to get through it, how to navigate, how to reach out and ask for help, right? What kind of, I had this brick cinder block house. My house was fine. I went through 3 hurricanes. The house across the street was a little wooden frame house that was built in the 30s. Guess what? Right? So it's tough, man, but that's why as men, we need to put our ego aside. We need to embrace that, hey, I need to read something. I need to have a course. I need to talk with somebody. I need to really figure out, like we were talking about, I got to look inward, what's going on. I got to look outward for some resources. But you know what? You and I know, you got to be looking upward. That's where the guidance is. That's where the protection is. That's where the wisdom and the knowledge is to help us get through those storms.
Are you an aspiring speaker? Do you have a book that you've been wanting to write for months, maybe even years? Or are you an aspiring podcaster? You want to start that podcast like the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show and don't know where to start? Well, at Daniel Gomez Enterprises, we can help you do all 3. We can help you become that paid speaker, share your story to the world, write your book, and get your podcast launched and help you produce it. We'd love to help you. Give us a call at 210-663-5954. That's 210-663-5954. We can help you become that paid speaker, write that book, and launch your podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a call now. Well, this is for ladies and gentlemen, but I think I want to direct this towards men is it's okay to reach out to another man and ask for help. It's really not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of you're less than anything. It's not a sign that, man, you're weak in this area. No, like as men, going back to what you said, right? Tough men don't cry. And no, like, I think that was one of the downfalls of my dad, is that he was just so tough that we don't realize, as we hold these emotions in as human beings, female or male, that your body's not equipped to suppress all these emotions. And then you do it day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade. Yes. And all of a sudden, you have cancer. All of a sudden, you have arthritis. All of a sudden, you have some type of disease or sickness because you've suppressed these emotions, not just for years, but for decades. And my dad's life was just, he was so machismo that, man, he died at 57 years old. I can't even, it seemed old at the time because I was 26 when he passed away, but crap, I just turned 50 this year. I mean, I'm like, that's 7 years away. I can't even imagine my life being 7 years away. But as men, you You can't harness these negative emotions. You can't harness the guilt. And then even worse, some men, they harness these emotions of whether they had an affair with a woman, or whether they got fired, or whether they failed in business and had to close a business down, or they weren't just that father. And then now, because they've never dealt with this, and it breaks my heart, because I've seen a lot of good men that they take their lives, right? It's they commit suicide because they're embarrassed of it. And believe me, there's nothing out there, ladies and gentlemen, that's so embarrassing that it should cost you to take your life. But if you've never talked to somebody, it's you feel that way, because not only do you have the backlog, right? If you think of a shower, and I'm going to use women here because my wife has long hair, and every time my wife takes a shower, there's always like hair that's on the floor, and right, sooner or later that hair goes through the drain, and then before you know it, you need Drano. We need to call a plumber, and it doesn't happen in one day or 1 month. It's probably a series of months, but it backlogs, and okay, now we got to unclog the drain. Well, that's what happens to us in the inside of us, ladies and gentlemen, is we have a backlog of emotions, and all of a sudden you're like, why am I so angry? Why am I so frustrated? Why am I so unsettled? It's because, man, you got all that crap that you've been carrying around for 20, 30 years, and you've never dealt with that. Talk to us about that. Why is it so important to really be understanding of what's going on in the inside of us, Anthony? Because I think so many human beings, men and women, but I think men more, because we're taught to be bravado, right? Like, don't cry, be tough. Like, I think it's a bunch of BS.
I mentioned to you before, it was like a series of like 3 weeks. I had a friend, my girlfriend and I saw him on a Wednesday. We were at an event. Happy go lucky. He's there with his wife, talking about his new morning routine. He has his protein shake and he's feeling better and all it's good. Hey, we got to have coffee. Let's get together. It was fantastic. Saw him 2 other times while we were walking. That was Wednesday. Thursday, he went home and hung himself. Lauren told me Saturday that she found this out. Wednesday, he was fine. Thursday, he hung himself. I don't, like I talked about the storm, right? Sometimes that storm's on the horizon and you see it, right? Right? Hurricanes, man, the day before or during the day, it could be a beautiful, perfect day. And here comes the storm. And you either that storm was on his horizon, but I believe he was in the eye of the storm, right? A lot of times people think, oh, the storm's over. Hey, take off the shutters, open the door, let's go have a picnic. And really, the storm, you're in the middle. It's clear. I don't know why people, and it's becoming more and more positive. It's a good thing to say, I'm lost, I'm stuck. I was going through it for a couple of months and I did not realize. And I'm the guy, right, that, oh, I should know what I'm feeling and I should reach out. And you know, it like I said before, you can suppress all day long, but eventually those emotions are going to come out. You don't know when, you don't know how, and it's usually not at the best time. For me, how God got a hold of me and my attention was this car had to spin around out of control. It was spinning out of control. I took my hand off the wheel a little bit and I could clearly hear, Daniel, you are not in control of your life. I am. I was trying so hard to force, to fix, to find a solution, to do for me as a guy, or I'm going to do this. And it got so bad that I had to be humbled. I was broken, right? The night before, you know what? I was spinning out of control like that car. And instead of just looking up and taking my foot off the gas, boy, I punched it, baby. Right? And it was all that I was pushing down that no one knew, right? And I know better. But you know what? Like you said, oh, I'm macho. I'm going to figure it out. That's nothing. I'll just kick the can. Oh, I'm just going through something. It's more than that. And we as men need to embrace that. It's okay to say, I feel lost. I feel anxious. I'm worried. And as a man of faith, these are not godly feelings, right? I felt shame from my actions that night. And I looked that up and what that means. That's not godly. That's the enemy attacking us. And if you don't have a strong walk, you don't realize that no one wakes up and goes, boy, want to feel anxious and worried and just really, really stressed out today. Can't wait. That's not healthy. So,
well, I think what I want the audience to hear on this is real men cry. We know women generally are more emotional. My wife cries for movies, and right, it's just right now during Christmas time era. But I want you to hear this, man. Write this down. And maybe you're listening to this, and maybe you don't have a relationship with your dad right now, and maybe you need to share this with your dad. It's okay to cry, man. It's okay to cry. Real men cry and release those emotions. And I think when I really gave myself permission to cry, Anthony, a lot of weight just kind of lifted from the inside, from the outside. It was just like, it is what it is. God knows I've cried when being in business, right? You question why things are going the way they go sometimes. But I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't have allowed myself to cry through some scenarios. And the truth is, people are going to backstab you. The truth is, you're going to be betrayed. The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to make a mistake along the path that you're on. The truth is, you're going to make the wrong business decision in one arena. But you got to learn to forgive yourself and to release those negative emotions. Let me ask you this, Anthony. What do you do? What's a word of wisdom or a word of advice that you could give to our audience? And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into this week's episode. We wouldn't be one of the top podcasts in the world without you. So I thank you so much for spending time with us here, because I know you could be listening to anything else, but thank you for being here with us. What's a word of wisdom you could give us, Anthony, to really start releasing all that junk in our trunk, to release all that baggage that we carry?
Right. I said individual commitment to a group effort, right? Maybe put that under a microscope and figure out in your personal life, what's your individual commitment to you? John Maxwell says that, increase your leadership, increase your influence. You should be a person of influence. You want to be a person of influence. You need to influence yourself first. What do you need to hold yourself accountable to? And I'll tell you this, and I did it when I was going through my storm. The first thing I did was I reached out to about 10 people to say, I'm stuck, I need help. And you know what, those people, some of them I haven't talked to in 10 years. And you know what, they stopped everything. They prayed for me. They checked on me. They were there for me. And one thing that I found is this: you need to get healthy and feel good about talking to people you trust in your inner circle. Say, hey man, can we talk? I feel lost. I feel anxious and I don't know why. Because guess what? When I was in my situation and I reached out to a handful of people, guess what? One of my buddies that we were in business together, he was going through something, right? Mm. Not only did he help me get through what I needed to go through, but he was going through something. We started doing devotionals. We've been checking in. It brought us closer together. We as men love the idea of being on an island, right? We can handle it. We're like Atlas. We'll hold everything. We don't have to. Everything's a lot easier when John Wooden talks about the 10 hands to make a basket or whatever, right? It's I would say the wisdom is, what's your individual commitment to yourself, to guide yourself, to hold yourself accountable, and allow yourself to start conversations with people. Check in with people, real conversations, because you might think things are good for you, but you know what? There's somebody over there that might need your time and your empathy and your love and friendship. So
as you're saying that, what comes to mind is you need to be kinder to yourself, ladies and gentlemen. You need to be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Be kinder to yourself. And I would challenge all the listeners today, men and women, Stop living life at the surface level, to what Anthony's saying. I think
That's
especially,
powerful, Daniel.
yeah, especially right now, by the time this episode airs, it's going to be around Christmas time, and we live life on the surface level. And you see somebody during the holidays, Christmas, New Year's, how, oh, everything's great, thank you, thank you. And then really, they're struggling to buy gifts for people, right, that they can't afford to, just to make an impression when they have no need to, or they're just putting undue stress on themselves, and they're living life on the surface when underneath they're not okay, right? They're spending more money than they have. They're doing things they shouldn't be doing, and they're living on the surface. Oh, I'm good. I'm good, right? And no, like we hear it every day. Good morning. How you doing? No, I'm doing good. And the more you spend time with people at a conference like me and you met, it's like, man, this person's not doing too good. So I really want to challenge you, ladies and gentlemen. Write this down. I must stop living life on the surface level. I must stop living life on the surface level. And when you start doing that and you start being intentional on going deeper, that's where the releases come in. That's where the breakthroughs come in. That's where the next level of business, because God can't take you higher in business. God can't take you higher in your career and life, because if he takes you higher, you're going to crumble like that wooden house, like Anthony was saying, because you can't handle the weight, you can't handle the stress, you can't handle the success. So what good does it do you for God to take you somewhere where it's going to kill you? That's what happens to Texas lottery winners. They've never had that much success or wealth, and they don't know how they just, it's too much, and they crumble, and they're in. I was reading this one thing where this gentleman that won the lottery, his ex-wife killed him, right? His ex-wife killed him because it was so much money, like just because they don't know how to handle that much success. And it's time we start living life, not just on the surface, but at a deeper level. I want you to do me a favor. Take a minute and look into the camera as we're coming to the end of this episode. Give a word of encouragement. Maybe somebody's out there, right? It's the New Year's upon us, holidays, Christmas, New Year's, 2024 is on the horizon. People are feeling like failures, and maybe even some people are contemplating. Maybe you're thinking even about taking your own life right now, or you know someone who's talked about suicide. Look into the camera, Anthony, and just really give a word of encouragement. Take a minute and just speak what God puts in your heart for this moment, please.
You know, it's said that at this time of the year, especially in business, we find ourselves evaluating ourselves. And sometimes it's not a good evaluation. We look at the past, what we did or didn't accomplish this year. And usually it's more focused on what we didn't do. We look at the past, and then we're looking into the future. Oh, we didn't get this done this year, but this is what we're going to do next year. You know what we don't do? We don't spend time in the present. Going into the holidays, take time, like Daniel said, be kind to yourself, be present, enjoy now. Enjoy the now. And strive and work hard to live a life a little deeper than just living on the surface. That would be my encouragement for all your listeners going into the holidays. Enjoy the now and be kinder to yourself, and check in with people, especially people that you know that don't have an abundance of friends and family, going to holiday parties, or are not going to have a full house. There's a lot of us that are looking forward to those holidays and friend parties and all that great stuff. And yet there's a lot of people out there, especially veterans, that it's not a time of abundance and joy. It's isolation and loneliness. So be aware of that, and be a good friend to your neighbors.
Love it. What's a scripture or a quote that you rely on in times of adversity, Anthony? What is a scripture or a quote that you rely on times of adversity?
You know, honestly, I've been, every morning I wake up with the, was that Isaiah, right? 61, just arise and shine. And just to remind myself that, you know, like I said before, anxiety, stress, worrisome, all that's from the enemy, man. Arise and shine, that the glory of God is on you. Like, come on, Anthony. Like, man, you
I love it.
Man, you're a child, right? Of the king. Like, come on, let's do this, right?
Boom, baby. I love it. I love it. How does someone if they want to connect with the culture coach? How do they connect with you, my brother, to work with you?
Yeah, you could email me. It's Perez at successisalanguage, all one word.com. They can find me on LinkedIn, Anthony J. Perez. I'd say go to my website. It's going to be cultureconcepts.com. We're building it out right now, planning on the beginning of the year. But LinkedIn, email me. You can reach out to me. My book's on Amazon. And of course, they could always just contact you and we could go from there as well.
Love it, man. What an amazing episode this week. Thank you so much for joining us, Anthony. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking time out of your day and listening to this episode. Go back, study your notes. And then what I want you to do also is really just think about where in your life do you need to live a little bit deeper. Right now, 2024 is going to be your year. It's going to be your breakthrough year. And I want to invite you, maybe you've been thinking about writing that book. Maybe you've been thinking about being that speaker. And you see this beautiful big sign behind me, Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. We're going to have our next event, March 8th and 9th here in San Antonio, Texas, really the premier international speaking academy, where we show you how to really go out there and share your story, speak to thousands around the world. I've been blessed to grow our business to tremendous just size because of speaking. And I want to teach you and show you the same way. So March 8th and 9th here in San Antonio, Texas, give me a call at 210-663-5954. And I want to see you at our next Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. And yes, you too can be a speaker. People laughed at me too, so don't worry about that. And last but not least, text the word millionaire. That's millionaire to 210-942-5059 and get our millionaire affirmations, our inspirational quotes through text. We want you in our community because we want to encourage you, we want to edify you. Until next week with another amazing guest here on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. Thank you so much. Stay safe out there this holiday season and Happy New Year from the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. May you have a blessed and prosperous 2024 in Jesus' name. Thank you, Anthony, again, brother. Bye-bye. This is Daniel Gomez Inspires, and thank you for listening to our show today. Please share this episode with a friend. Leave us a review and subscribe to our show. And for listening to our show today, I want to give you a free gift. I want to invite you to our Millionaire Mind community. Text the word millionaire, that's millionaire, to 210-942-5059. Yes, join our community today and receive millionaire affirmations, inspirational quotes on a weekly basis. That's 210-942-5059. Text the word millionaire today and join our community. And once again, thank you for listening to our show.